Welcome back. This will be part 3 of my workbench video. Today I'll be focusing on the table saw and the miter saw. I was also going to be adding a drill press to it, but because I made a choice to go with a larger drill press, it was not going to fit where I had originally intended, so I'll address making a mount for the drill press later. I'm just going to have it as an outfeed table for the table saw. So keep watching and I hope you enjoy. Thanks.
I begin by adding the outer framing section for the table saw area. I also add another support to the bottom for the floorboard of the bench. I make some cutouts in the floorboard around the outer frame and then mount it to the bottom. I make two frames for the table saw to sit on, and then I attach them to the outer framework and to the bottom of the workbench. I then measure in where the table saw will actually sit, and I add some 2x4 supports and then build a framework around the bottom of the table saw. I then set the table saw in place and put some boards around the top. Here I've started making the framework for the miter saw area. It's basically the same framework as the one that I built for the table saw, except one of the boards is turned sideways. You'll see why in just a little bit. I then mount those frameworks onto the bench. The miter saw is going to be on a pivot that's going to sit slightly lower than the actual top of the workbench to allow for the boards to sit evenly on the miter saw itself, flush with the top of the workbench. Here I'm cutting out the excess area for the top of the workbench for the miter saw to pivot in. The reason for the 2x4s being turned sideways is so that I could drill through and have the 3/4 inch pipe inserted into them, and then sandwich another 2x4 against it to keep it from coming out. You can see the top slides up and down so that the miter saw will fold into the table itself. Time to do some cleanup. I'm sure there's a children's song that might go along with this. I then do the final mounting of the miter saw to the workbench and fold it down. I cut the final section of the top. This is the, if you want to call it a sub top, for around the miter saw, and then I start trimming the edges in preparation for putting the final top on, which will be a full sheet of 4x8 birch, 3/4 inch. There it is. Isn't it pretty? All the tools are now removed so that I can start making the cutouts in the final top for the workbench. But first I have to do more sanding around the legs, trying to get everything ready to finish this project up. Lots and lots of sanding. I'm sure you're getting bored of this, so I'll skip to the next section. I start making the cutouts around the table saw, the miter saw, the sanding area, and the router in set so that everything will sit as close to flush as I can get it. With everything cut, I put all the tools back into place.
Well, thanks for watching. Next time I'll be probably just trying to wrap this up. I won't probably go into a lot of detail. It's going to be the electrical and storage and then final finishing of the top itself. So hope you stick around and watch for the next episode. Thanks. Bye.